All right. Okay. What the? Yo, yo. Okay. Um, yeah, so I don't know if you guys can see my unrealized here, but if you can't, reading it out for you, negative 1688.73. Um, Today got a bit out of hand, and to be completely honest, I think this is one of the downfalls of what I've been doing. So now the tough thing for me is if I'm okay with this risk or if I'm not. But I'll go through the time of when I took trades and we'll go from there. So I'll go over the loss mostly because KNW, this one ran the previous day. I'll go ahead and make this a bit larger. And I think I will just go ahead and toss up the weekly on this side for the same thing. And so we could take a look at it. Um, okay, so go here and explain what I saw. So I traded pre-market again today, and I think this is where the mistake kind of happens in my strategy in the sense that um, I'm not sure how to account for this, and I've been thinking about it all day. So the stock opened, I guess not opened, like pre-market session started. It was at 1.6 and then came down to 1.2 and then started climbing back up. And as I've sort of discussed, when, there's a sell-off and it starts coming back up, I've noticed a lot of time it breaks out. In this instance, I figured it sold off 25%, probably going to retest that. It might be good to short it given, the this previous day, right? We closed at 1.67. Um, I wasn't thinking that this would continue per what I saw at, 1 a.m. when I woke up. And so I enter my short at 1.5, seeing where we're at. And then in the next candle, it starts going up more. So I added a little bit more at 177, and I was hoping for a little pullback. In the next candle, it goes up almost 100%. So this is like within 30 seconds to a minute, right? And I'm just like, what the fuck? Um, so yeah, I mean, this was just like super unfortunate because this doesn't really happen to me. And so I wasn't really prepared for the what if, since I already thought that we were reaching overextension here. And there wasn't any news, there wasn't anything that would indicate that this should just squeeze up 100%. Nothing came out. And the only thing I could have thought like could be like the reason why this happened. And the only thing I thought could be why um and the only reason why I thought this might happen is because of Bitcoin. Oops. I'll do remind me later for that. Um, Brought out my mic from a couple of years ago. So I thought that, maybe it's just because of Bitcoin price, but man, like this was looking super, super bullish. Um, as this was coming down, I was thinking, okay, this is probably gonna collapse, but it holds at 214. So support forms here. And I'm so confused as to why. Like, And this is what I've been thinking about all day is why is support forming here? Um, if this is breaking out off no news, what's the reason for support forming here? That was like something that I've just been trying to figure out. Um, and as you can see here, after this, I covered because I was like, this is gonna break out again. Like the price action was looking really bullish. So I covered here and hope to like get close to, this breakout in my entries. I sort of scale into them. And then same thing, like support starts forming again, and I'm like, I've seen this before. I can't just like add into breakouts again. So I just got out here for another loss. So this was a two-part loss. I lost, I think it was like 1700 and then another 300 here. And I think this one was much better compared to this one, obviously. But the tough thing is that like I'm struggling to know if the more breakouts a stock has, the stronger it is or the weaker it is. Because how many times until a breakout fails, right? If it's what are the odds? And I'm trying to think statistically speaking because I want to know how to play these kinds of situations as a short seller. And maybe it is don't play them as a short seller. But if we're looking at like what I'm seeing before this move even happens, like let me just zoom in here. As a short seller, I log on for the day and I see this and I see that it's, slowly starting to grind up and reach, what is it, like 1.7. At this point, it's like, what do I do when the next candle is this? You know? So I'm gonna chalk this up to the risks of pre-market. Like I don't think there was any way I could have really prepared for this other than a hard stop, obviously. But the thing is, like, let's say I got in here, 266, and I have a hard stop 1 ATR. Like this wick, and I'm stopped out. Like the tough thing here is no overhead resistance, but that's kind of the issue. Now, I think how I should have played this is one, probably don't play it at all because this is a fresher IPO and these ones are less predictable. Um, and the fact that it didn't sell off heading into Monday, like it was holding around this 1 level and didn't collapse down, I think is another factor. The other thing is the crazy amount of volume. So if I looked at the volume pre-market compared to all these other periods, I probably could have avoided that. So yeah, this is what so I mean after today, I think I'm gonna stick away from pre-market trading because something like this can happen and I'm just cooked. I think I should be patient and wait for the initial move maybe to stop. And I was looking at this all day, like how could I prevented this from happening? And there's a couple things. One is I could wait for the indecision. So after I see all this shorting in this range, I can look for a tap into that range and risk the high and look for a zero point 0.5 to 1 or 1 to 1. So if I so assuming I got in here, which I probably wouldn't have. I probably would have got in like 275. My risk here is pretty high. So do I take that risk where I'm risking, the high of the wick to make maybe half of it. If I get in at 278 risking 36, that's what is it? 90 cents. I'm looking for like 45 cents. I will get that here. Um, but the other thing too is I definitely could have held. Like my drawdown would have been absolutely disgusting. But if I kept adding into this squeeze, say like three or four more entries, maybe five more entries, like if we look at my red little um, arrows here, after this fourth entry, my average cost was 1.9. And at this point, I'm down like 1.7K. This squeezes up to a point where if my average cost is 1.9, let's see, force. Let's call it like 5. 5 minus 1.9 divided by 1.9. This squeezed up 163% from my average cost. But once it started topping out here, if I'm adding, 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 say I'm at my ninth entry or 10th entry here, this collapses. Like, I I would probably have an average cost close to this of 264 if I'm adding into the threes and fours. But it's always scary to think about what if it doesn't. So my thought is I I can either go one of two ways. I'll either be in these situations and I have to accept the risk, accept the drawdown, and just keep my head on straight, or I have to reconsider my approach, which I've been thinking about doing, but the problem is it doesn't make a ton of sense. Because this is the first time this has happened to me. And looking at it in retrospect, it would have worked out if I didn't take the losses, right? If I just continue adding. I think my first entry probably wasn't the best. I'm like going through all of the scenarios where I would have filtered this out of the potential trades I took, but there really wasn't any other than the overwhelming volume. It had 118 million traded today, which is insane. And if we look at the previous day, like the only consideration I have is 1.6 as my risk. So maybe if we blast through 1.6, I just get out and wait and see what happens. But no pullback. I mean, harsh grind up. Like this is the harshest uptick I've ever seen. I mean, if we look at like let's say the 30 minute, this is pretty crazy. Um, Considering there's no pullback. Like we're talking this breakout and then it just goes up 100, 200%. Like that's crazy. Um, so yeah, I mean, I don't know how I could have played it differently. Like patience maybe on the first few entries, but I think any other stock that I've made money on, I would have gone the same way. So it begs the question of like, okay, how can I prepare for this? Do I set hard stops? Uh, Honestly, this move happened so fast that a hard stop I would have gotten taken out immediately. And if I have a mental stop, I wouldn't have been able to react in time. Like it squeezed that fast. And maybe I just get out and look for my next play. Um, but yeah, it's just like super unfortunate because this doesn't happen that often. Um, and looking at it like the whole reason why I put extra money in my account is to be prepared for drawdowns and manage these as the best I can. And when there's an unexplained 200 to 300% spike, do you do you short those or do you long those? It's really hard to know. And when the move happens so fast, it's hard to prepare for it. I don't know how I could have prepared for this better because Ask just got taken out so fast. Like I didn't really have much time to think. The only thing maybe I would have done differently is taken off some exposure here. But even then, like this just grinds up again, breaks out, grinds up again, and then at this point it tops out. And if we're looking at the difference of these moves, there isn't much. Like that's what makes it so hard. So yeah, so I don't know. Like this is a tough one. If anyone has any advice on how I could have played this differently, drop a comment, let me know. I think that it was too heavily traded. There was too much volume, to the point where it's probably dominated by everyone and it's just random and can't be played. That's my guess. Anyways, that was my recap on KNW. Definitely a long one, but we'll move on to KLTO because I traded this pre-market as well. Um, let's see. So this one I was initially up $200, but then I gave a lot of it back. So I'll go to about here and we'll look at this. So this was spiking up at around 6 a.m. my time. I went back to bed and woke up. As this was spiking up, I took my short. It ended up selling off a bit, covered, uh, added to the short in anticipation it would go down more, but it didn't. Ended up consolidating, chopping here, and then it broke out. So I shorted into this pop. This is like when the market opens, shorted here, and then on this on these down candles, I covered my position. Looking to enter close to the retest again. This doesn't work, I think. This doesn't work. Um, and maybe it's the base candle. Maybe it's the strength of this candle that's causing this not to work. Um, Getting in higher, these a lot of the time will just break out and keep going. So that's what happens here. I short into these pops, cover some here, cover the rest here, and then playing the same thing again. It breaks out again. Like, I don't know how many times these breakouts will work. Then we had the super bullish action where we're hugging above VWAP. So I'm trying to get a good average cost. I'm kind of trying to pick where I add in anticipation of it going down. It finally cracks, and then here I cover for a loss because of a huge green candle. I'm like, this is gonna just keep breaking out again, and eventually it cracks. So it cracks here. If I got out here, it would have been a profit of, I would have profited on this stock probably $400. Instead, I got out for break even. It goes sideways and then retests again, and then chops around there at 1.8. And it looks like for the rest of the period, just floating around 145, 1.5. Gets close again, but stays in this upper VWAP range, looks like it. Breaks out after hours, looks like, and then sells off after hours. This is right about, what, a couple minutes. Yeah. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It's like I'm shorting overextensions, but they keep there's so much momentum behind them. Same thing here. I think this one had a ton of volume. Yeah, look at that. I mean, come on, dude. 1 billion shares. Uh, yeah, I shouldn't have played this to be honest, or I should have been out of it at 0.93 where this, wick was. But look at this volume, man. I mean, if 0.57, let's see. If we're, I guess, both of these had that kind of same situation where um, 0.57, let's say 0.57, I take a short. It wicks down, and maybe I get some profits there. Yeah, and then risk the breakout of it maybe. Yeah, maybe. Maybe I just played this wrong. I think uh test. Okay. I just realized I had the wrong mic on this whole time, which kind of sucks. Um, so probably shitty audio for the first half and then better audio for the second half. Yeah, I mean KLTO, like I this was my biggest winner, and then I gave some back. I think if we look at both, right? Maybe I just wait for market open, see where it opens. Um, Pre-markets maybe too risky. I don't know. It's hard to know, to be honest. Um, okay, moving on. SNPX. This one I think I traded well. Um, Started breaking out. At this point, looks like it was up 72%. I shorted. I covered some here. I had broke out again, shorted here, covered a little bit here. Broke, started, inching up again, shorted and covered. And this is like what works for me, right? This is like what I'm looking for. The thing is what if it breaks out and then retests and breaks out again? It's tough. Or what if it breaks out and doesn't reach the retest and keeps going? How do I manage those? That's been so hard for me. Because the periods if I have a trade like SNPX that is like this, then I don't think that I need to adjust my strategy. Like look here, right? This one, if we like take it at face value, like what's to say that this one can't run like the other ones? But I was green on this one. So it's hard to know if this specifically KNW was kind of a one-off situation, or if I really need to reassess. Like if I'm out for 2K, but this happens to me like once a month, then I'll easily like make up for it in my other trades. If we look at my other trades, I think I was, let's see, when this was about 300, yeah, like 350, let's say, after commissions. That's just a week of trading to surpass this loss if I could be consistent like that. Um, so I really want to say KNW was just unlucky. I don't think I really played it that bad, considering if I kept adding, it would have worked out for me. Um, yeah, I don't know how I could have played it to be honest. Maybe playing it when it had such a strong close previously was a bad idea, like previous on Friday. Maybe that's not the way to go. I'm wondering if KLTO had the same thing. No, it didn't. But to be honest, I ended break even on KLTO and I exited my position early. Like, um, could have held a little longer to get out some more. I was worried about it, the retest, but definitely could have like try to add into these sort of areas at 1.7, 1.8, um, and covered on the way down. But um, yeah, I need to think about how can I filter out this and focus on this. And the difference might just be pre-market versus market hours. Market hour moves are more legit. Um, And maybe I'm just focusing, I'm not taking trades after 7:30, maybe something else. But anyways, we could just move on to the next one. TWNP, this was up 80% when I was looking to short here. And it was coming up close to overhead resistance. I got into my starter position. It sold off immediately. So I just covered into the dumps. It was halting up and then it halted down. This one was very quick and worked out for me. CTXR, same kind of deal. I think I got out too early, but look at this one too. It you know, breaks out above, holds it. Um, yeah, like what if I just short one ATR above the breakout? Then I miss other plays. So, different yearly chart. Maybe, this helps. Like, this is obviously like getting shorted over time. But if I get stuck in this situation, right? If I'm looking to short here at 162, I have to add, and then hope it comes down. Like, this can just keep going. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's really hard. Like, obviously, this dumps. So that's why I'm thinking, like, how do I play this? How do I be safe? Maybe I'm entering with less size as I'm hitting my fourth and fifth and sixth entries. So that way I'm less exposed as it continues squeezing up and maybe get a better average cost. Um, Maybe my initial entries are less and I size up in my second and third. I have to really look at my statistics and go off that. Xena, nothing too crazy here. It was showing resistance at in the above 5.5. Got into my position at 5.55. It started squeezing up a little bit, but it didn't reach my second entry point, so I didn't end up adding to it. And then I covered here because it looked like support was forming. Could have held for sure. I didn't have any reason to sell. It ended up chopping and selling off. So this one definitely played poorly. Look at the yearly on this one. I guess it didn't have as strong of a close on Friday. I'm trying to think, like, if I look at weeklies, um, the ones that I won, the ones that I made money on, yeah, I mean, they're not opening above the overhead resistance, and this one just didn't have. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at SNPX. This one could have easily just squeezed up, like considering the volume. So, um, yeah, I don't know. I think, like, to be honest, I think I take the risk and add into it, um, because all of these met my criteria, and KNW would have been less of a loss if I did that. Especially if I was ready to add in this wick. I think that might be the the solution is try and get into that wick, because like that kind of action is very rare and clearly not uh I guess not normal. Like, if I was super ready to add into it being at, you know, 2.7 and then add into it being at 3.2 and 3.6, then come here, I'm in the money, and then I can just play off that. So I think that was the mistake here. I don't think I would change anything else. Maybe my first entry was rushed. Maybe, the strong close. Sorry, this is not that. Maybe this strong close is a sign of continuation, and I shouldn't look too short. Um, but yeah, the way it opened that, or the way the pre-market was showing it, I wasn't seeing something to be afraid of. KLTO,
yeah, maybe I just wait and see what happens. Um, so I don't know. I don't know how I feel about pre-market. It's definitely riskier, um, but this is a tough loss because I could have held and been fine, but my drawdown would have been crazy. And it's just up to me if I'm willing to take that risk or if I'm not. Anyways, thank you all for watching. This was a long recap, obviously, because of the loss, but yeah, catch y'all later.